And action. Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Action Podcast. We are on episode 59. For all those that's been tuning along with us, thank you for coming along on this movie magical journey. I think I said that backwards, but oh well. Today we got
journey nonetheless.
Yeah, we decided to last week we talked about maybe not doing an episode this week, but we ended up seeing all the movies. So I was on my vacay and I saw movies on my vacay. That's what I do. So this week we have the movie Hypnotic, which stars Ben Affleck, and we also have The Mother, which is on Netflix now. It stars Jennifer Lopez. We got a little Bennifer action this weekend. That might be the first in history.
A Bennifer opening weekend, yeah, totally.
Yeah, since Geely. So hopefully that comes out better. And then I also was able to see a movie called Blackberry, which is basically about the rise and fall of the phone Blackberry. And then lastly, Pete was able to review Still, which is the Michael J. Fox documentary on Apple Plus. I'll be checking that out probably either today or tomorrow. But awesome. Right. So that, Pete, let's get into Hypnotic. And let me give you a little details before you get into it. But this is directed by Robert Rodriguez, who also wrote it. He's, of course, Desperado, among many other projects. And this stars, like I said, Ben Affleck and William Fichtner, who, fun fact, Pete, I met just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known he had a new movie out. That would have been nice to say, like, hey, man, looking forward to the new movie.
Hey, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said that and then I saw him, I'm like, man, that would have been a great shout out, hashtag. You could have hashtagged him to our show and he could have gotten some praise and spread the word.
Yeah. So yeah. With that being said, Hypnotic, Pete, what do you got?
Hypnotic was, I got a text from you afterwards and you were saying, Inception, and it was like you had such glowing reviews of this thing that I think that it got elevated to a point. I saw it twice. I thought it was a good movie. I thought Ben Affleck was great in it. I thought it was well shot. I mean, I love Robert Rodriguez even back in the Desperado days and From Dusk Till Dawn when he and Quentin Tarantino sort of tag teamed writing and directing and creating a movie out of it. I thought that Robert, I can't even say his name. Robert Rodriguez comes from a place of experimentation when it comes to filmmaking, but also, he holds true to what works, but he adds a very specific style to his work, and I think it's very evident in this movie. I enjoyed the movie very much. I thought that you built it up for me a little bit too much, but I thought the way that it played out was quite clever, even without spoiling anything. Like even towards the end, when there's the walkthroughs, right? I thought it was like, oh my god, it sort of sealed some open questions at the beginning that I had. It was a well done movie and it was fun. I understand why it didn't get a lot of promotion behind it, and there's a reason why it was this weekend when nothing else really was kind of happening. But this is certainly the best movie of the week, and I'm not going to say it's top 5 of the year so far, but I think it'll end up being, top 15 to 20 of the whole year. At one point, because we got a lot of blockbusters ahead of us, so we'll reserve judgment. But it was a really well done job. Ben Affleck was very subdued, but that was his character in a way. And so when you look at what he has to do in this particular role, I thought he did a great job. Outside of Batman, I'm not really let down by Ben Affleck ever.
No, I'm a big fan. Some people call me the poor man. Some people call me the poor man's Ben Affleck, so
I've always said
it. I always hold that very dear to my heart.
And I'm the poor man's Matt Damon.
Yeah. So if anybody's looking for a poor man Damon and Affleck film, give us a call. But let me tell you my thing. I think obviously I have a lot more passion to this film. So again, I didn't really know much going into this movie. I didn't even see the trailer. I watched the trailer on the way to the movie, but I was just like, oh, it's Robert Rodriguez, Ben Affleck, like I'm in, you know. And then my boy William Fichtner's in it, like, yeah, let's do this. And so I watched the trailer. I'm like, okay, like this is interesting. Like, okay. And like right away, like it's very fast paced. Um, and it's you really I missed the beginning a little bit. I think I missed like 5 minutes, but I watched the trailer, so I don't think I missed much.
It doesn't give you a lot of time to settle in.
Yeah.
It certainly just gets right into it for sure.
And I was trying to look up who did the music, but the music, I really enjoyed the music. Oh, it's a new person, Rebel Rodriguez. Oh, it's probably his son, huh? Is that Rebel Rodriguez?
Rebel?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I think it's his son.
Well, keep talking about it. I'll look it up.
Yeah, but yeah, like right away, like Pete mentioned, Robert Rodriguez has a style. It's very visual, and so like right away, it's like very fast paced, and it reminded me a lot of like Enemy of the State. And then because this has to do with kind of I mean, I don't know if this is an actual real term and all that. I never actually did the research yet, but it's one of those that has a term that maybe some people know about, you know, like whether it's a medium thing, who knows, but you know, hypnotic is kind of this term for people that basically can like like change your mind with just by talking to you, you know, almost like the force, right? It's like, you know, the Jedi, you know, these are not your droids. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of the power in this movie, and that's William Fichtner's characters. He's supposed to be the hypnotic, and we just don't know through the whole movie. We really don't know like why Ben Affleck essentially is like involved, and like why all this is happening. And so that's kind of like how this movie kind of unravels. And again, we're not going to give spoilers on this one because I think a lot of people haven't seen this, and so we want you to go see it.
I think a lot
But
of people have even heard of this movie, to
yeah,
be
for sure.
honest. So, we don't want to give anything away because it is
Yeah.
something that you should go and see because you haven't heard about it and it's really good.
And it's a good theater movie too, because again,
Yeah.
this is a good theater movie because this is like action. It's like my comp was Inception and Enemy of the State. You know, this was like this felt like very much like a Ridley Scott or a Tony Scott film where it's just good action. That's
Right.
the concept.
Not as grand, like you don't get like those aerial
Right.
sort of 360, like just the huge budgeted
Yeah.
things. I mean, it's very much Robert Rodriguez, which is very more intimate
Yeah.
in terms of his filmmaking and his character development for sure. Um, by the way, Rebel Rodriguez, son of, he was an actor in Planet Terror and Grindhouse, which were
Yeah.
the two movies that Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did. He was
Yeah.
also he also played Shark Boy at the age of 5 in Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava
That's the
Girl.
picture. I think he's like really young in the picture.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
guy composed it.
Spy Kids 2. He was Spy Boy
Well,
in
yeah,
that movie
and
as
Robert
well.
Rodriguez obviously directed the Spy Kids franchise, which, by the way, he did a great job. Like, I love Robert
Amazing.
Rodriguez is a very successful director, and you know, I do like him. I respect him a lot. But yeah, so ultimately, go check this out if you like those comps. You know, I do think this is I like this. I don't like this more than Enemy of the State, but Enemy of the State is like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
Um, and again,
anything Will Smith.
yeah, that's got Will Smith at his prime, Hans Zimmer, you know.
Gene
But I
Hackman.
think this is right beneath that. Like this is better than some of those other like Tony Scott films.
Right.
Like Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, or I'm trying to think of some of those early 2000s. But this is what they don't make movies a lot like this anymore. This is a good old fashioned thriller, action thriller. You know what I mean? And again, I love the ride.
Yeah, no,
I want to see it again.
it was certainly fun and a great time, especially because I didn't know what else to do. And I feel like, all right, fine, I'll see Hypnotic. And I was pleasantly surprised based off of zero information, which is
Yeah.
pretty rare nowadays.
Yeah, I would love to see more marketing behind this, but you know, it is what it is.
Yep.
Okay, next we're gonna jump to The Mother, which you can find on Netflix right now. This obviously stars Jennifer Lopez, and is directed by Nikki Caro. She
Mhm.
directed Mulan, Zookeeper's Wife, among other films, so pretty accomplished director. Um, Yeah, I'll go first on this one because I think I
North
probably have.
Country, which was a really critically acclaimed film. So
Which
yeah,
movie?
North Country
I don't know if I saw that
with
one.
Charlize
Oh,
Theron about sexual harassment in the
yeah.
mines or something like that.
Yeah. So
Amazing film. Like, so it's good.
yeah,
She's good.
yeah. Like I definitely like. I didn't actually finish Mulan, but it's very well. Like I love how it's crafted. Like it's a beautiful looking film, and I think the mother has a very similar look. Like I love the cinematography in this film. It
Hmm.
takes place in Alaska, I believe, and I do love these northern like snowy kind of thrillers. Like so, this definitely uh fits a lot of what I like in a film. Um, I liked it. It is ranked only 5.5 on IMDb. So I think you're probably gonna find somewhere in between. Either gonna probably be on my side or Pete's side here. But I thought it was entertaining. Usually, especially streaming films, I struggle sometimes just to stay kind of focused in it. But I really like the action in it. She's Jennifer Lopez is a sniper. I thought they actually did a good job. You can definitely tell like there's some help here. Like, Jennifer Lopez is not young either. But obviously she's in great shape. And but they do a lot of good old fashioned like editing tricks and cinematography. And so I thought the action actually looked pretty good because of how it was filmed. Like, she's not Jackie Chan, right? Like they're not just letting her rip and like John Wick, right? John Wick's a good example. There's not a lot of camera tricks on John Wick 4 is a lot of choreography because that dude's a choreographer, right? The director. And
Mm.
and obviously like Keanu Reeves like literally studies like we talked about this in our review. But that fit Keanu Reeves to a T because he is that guy and he knows the moves. Jennifer Lopez is not a natural like she's not in a ton of movies like this. And so I applaud the directing and the cinematographer and the editor because they really made, I thought, some of that action like more plausible than it would. There's a couple scenes where it's a little bit like, okay, like that's not real. Like not this is not a spoiler, but there's like a part where like she grabs her daughter like one armed on a motorcycle. Like I don't know. It was like a fast and furious type of maneuver because it's like, dude, physics and all that stuff. Like you're gonna rip your arm off, and like there's no way you can balance the bike. Like it's just ridiculous. So
Yeah.
that was unnecessary, but for the most part, I thought it was decent action. Now, I will say this: I know a lot of people aren't necessarily Jennifer Lopez acting fans, and so I think that's where you're going to get some negative review on her. Like I know I spoke to a few people, and I think if you're not a Jennifer Lopez fan, like you're not going to like this film. Um, I think if
It's
you're
not a question of whether or not you're a fan of her or not, because there's reason to appreciate her and to respect what she's accomplished. I mean, she was a dancer on In Living Color, right? Like she was a background dancer on In
yeah,
Living Color, and she has turned that into she's one of our icons of our generation, basically. Like she is next level. Like there's not a lot of people above Jennifer Lopez.
no,
Let's get that right off the bat. I don't know who decided that we needed to see Jennifer Lopez as a sniper, Jason Bourne type of character. Like it just didn't work for me. Like I couldn't I couldn't just get into the movie and allow myself to experience what was
yeah,
being showed to me. Now, whether that means this is a good movie or not, I know that there are people that I've spoken to, you included, who enjoyed themselves through this movie. So I respect that.
yeah.
I personally just couldn't get into a mindset like,
And I think a lot of people are gonna agree with that. Like I said, I think this is going to be a divided film. There are going to be people like me that can just watch this and just be entertained, and then there are
yeah,
going to be people that can't get over that it's Jennifer Lopez, and they're not going to believe her in this role, and they're not going to buy in. And I think
right.
you got to figure that out, audience member, which one you are.
Yeah. And it's like, if we want to go back to Ben Affleck, like Ben Affleck for me is one of the top players in male filmmaking right now. Like I think that he's that good. But when they announced that he was going to be Batman, and it's like you immediately like kind of take a step back and you say, I don't see that really playing out properly.
Right.
This was one of those situations, and they just happened to be together, just making a connection,
Right.
whatever. But when you know when the I remember talking to you during me watching this film, and then at one point in the film, like she is her daughter gets kind of taken away, and then um, the bad guys come and they're about to get her. And then without any sort of setup at all, like just out of the blue, here comes Jennifer Lopez on a motorcycle, and here I come to save the day. And then all the bad guys are just kind of standing around. They don't do anything. They don't like try to stop her. I mean, there's a little bit of a skirmish
Yeah.
or whatever, but I mean, it just could have been done a lot better. And
Yeah.
I thought that if they were serious about taking Jennifer Lopez and putting her into this sort of a genre, I think that they should have put more thought into it and a little bit more effort into how they were going to accomplish this. Because you can't just throw somebody into an action
Yeah.
sniper ex-CIA role. You can't just throw them in. I mean, there's got to be some real commitment to it. And I think that they sold her short because she is incredible. She's a really good actress and she's a great performer and she's an icon. And I just thought that they really kind of missed the boat. I just didn't believe it. I couldn't get
Yeah.
into it.
Well, I do think you bring up a good point, which is I think they could have improved the quote unquote villain and the like the bad guys.
Which
You're right.
villain?
The bad guys weren't. It was more of like a sheer numbers type of a film versus like, oh crap, this guy's really good. I don't know how she's going to defeat this guy, right? Like it was never that. It was just like, man, there's a lot of people here and she's taking them on. Again, it was more of a, and again, I think difference between this and John Wick is Keanu Reeves has been doing this and for a long time, right?
Forever. And he
Versus
was
again,
surrounded by amazing individual characters. Even if they were only on screen for 5 minutes, they were impactful, right?
yeah,
Gael Bernal, who plays Hector in this movie, and Joseph Fiennes is the other villain. So, I mean, that's already a huge name, right?
yeah,
Uh, Gael is this guy who that we saw in the movie Old with M. Night Shyamalan's movie
yeah,
before A Knock at the Cabin. And he put on a performance in that movie where I expected his next role was kind of just be epic. And I think I saw him on screen for about 3 seconds and then he was gone. And I was
yeah,
completely just deflated because he's one of these actors that you need him in your movie because of what he brings to it. And we didn't get it,
yeah.
unfortunately.
So I think audience members again, I think we give you two sides of the coin
Yeah.
here.
Where are you coming from?
Yeah, and I think
Right?
that's going to be important. Now, I think on the good news is this is on Netflix. And I think at the end of the day, like when we're talking about a streaming film versus going to the theaters and paying that dollar money, I think this is
Hmm.
a movie that's worth seeing because I think at the end of the day, like it's not a terrible
Sure.
time. Like,
Sure.
and there's a lot, like there was not a lot on streaming right now, like that's new. Now, unless you're like a real episodic person, but like in movie wise, like that's why I do love some of these movies. It's like, all right, cool. This is a good, solid streaming movie. There's nothing else to kind of watch while I'm at home, and you don't have to leave your house, right? So
Right.
I do like that. So see it if you want. Let's move to our next film, which is Blackberry, and that is directed by Matt Johnston, who also acts in this film. But this stars Jay Baruchel and Glenn Howerton. And so the cast is very solid, but this again is about the rise and the fall of BlackBerry. So this was very reminiscent of Air. Um,
Mm.
I don't now that's always rough because again, Air we're calling our best film of the year so far. But I'll tell you what, man, this is just as well done without as much star power. So again,
Mm.
it's not Ben Affleck directing,
Interesting.
but Jay Baruchel and Glenn Howerton are awesome in this movie. Glenn Howerton is of course of Always Sunny fame, and then Jay Baruchel he was on like This Is the End. Did a lot of what
He was in Almost Famous. Yeah,
40-Year-Old Virgin, I believe.
yeah, he plays a little
He's one of
kid
the
in
guys that
Almost.
had pink eye with Jonah Hill, but he's in that gang. And we just watched This Is at the End too. So
Now this is like a who's who of like secondary characters in one movie, like Carrie
yeah,
Elwes, Michael Ironside, Sam Rubinek. Like these are
yeah,
guys that you know and who crush every single time.
yeah,
Darn it, I wish I would have seen this movie.
yeah. So and again, this is IMDb. It's got a
Martin
7.9.
Donovan,
Yeah,
he's incredible.
it's got a 7.9, which is really, really high.
Wow.
So now I did taper off at the end there, but what I watched, I really, really enjoyed. I want to watch it again. And again, I love the
Mhm.
style. It's got a nice style to it that keeps it fun and keeps it interesting. But this is always I love movies like this because again, they're informational, they're historical, and then like sometimes you're wondering, like, man, I remember when this was on top of the world, like what happened, And Blackberry, they made mistakes, and again, it's like just great lessons to learn that it doesn't matter who's on top, like just like that Apple, if
Right.
they make mistakes and they overspend, you can be out of money real quickly. So go check this out.
Yeah,
I highly, highly recommend this movie. um
sounds great.
yeah. Okay, next is still a Michael J. Fox story. This is on Apple Plus TV.
Finally. Yeah.
This is a documentary. Pete, you saw this? Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, this was finally everything that you wanted. I mean, because everyone has questions about Michael J. Fox and what he's experiencing and kind of what happened in his life once he developed Parkinson's and how is his life now. And this movie, this documentary, is told in his perspective on the rise of his fame and that moment he started to notice the one finger, and how that affected the rest of his life. And the finger thing happened right around, in terms of his timeline. I think if I remember correctly, like just after like Teen Wolf, going into like the real height of his like sort of fame, like Secret of My Success and stuff like that. So this was way before things like maybe more people understand, like Spin City, for example.
The Spin City is
But it
actually the Spin City is when he left, and he
Spin
became.
City is when he finally made the revelation to the world after he'd already started it. So you notice, I can talk about this film all day. This film is amazing if you have Apple Plus. If you don't, go and get it because it's a really really well done documentary. And the editor, this is a great example of an editor and a director, which is their true relationship, working side by side as storytellers,
Yeah,
completing something. And I mean, the way that they edited together actual film and TV of Michael J. Fox to add to the narrative of Michael J. Fox talking in real life. Like he'll be talking about something and they'll show a clip from Back to the Future, but it happens to be about that specific thing that they're talking about, or they'll show something from The Secret of My Success
yeah.
or Teen Wolf or something. I mean, it's really, really well done.
It is
And
awesome.
Michael J. Fox for me is an icon, and he was an inspiration and somebody that I always looked up to as a kid. Even to this day, he is somebody that I sort of admire. And to hear from his own words and to see, I mean, it's a tough watch at the same time, right? Because you're seeing somebody that you absolutely love and respect, just and the title of it still is so perfect.
Yeah.
It's a perfect title for this documentary. I would say should be the number one thing you look at this week. It's that good.
Awesome, awesome. Well, there you go, audience members. You have
That is.
a solid slate of movies. Again, we didn't know if we were going to do this, but I think this again, just kind of this week outperformed, I think, expectations in general, and that's why we ended
Yeah.
up doing this episode because I thought it was a good week overall. I mean, you got essentially three choices that we at least recommend. Again, a fourth one if you're on the fence, but again, that's a solid week. So make sure you check these out. I believe Blackberry is probably still out in theaters where you can see it. Hypnotic definitely is. So if you
Hmm.
haven't checked them out, make sure you check them out. And then again, still on Apple Plus, Mother on Netflix.
Use your AMC, pass and
Yeah, use your AMC Pass. Get there, watch 3 movies a week.
Three movies a week.
That's how we do it, guys. That's how I see all these movies. So
Upgrade your regular to large popcorn anytime
yeah,
you want.
exactly. You get $5 back every once in a while too.
Yeah, every once in a while I get $5. I mean, this is the way to go.
Yeah, so check out that. And then next week, obviously a big week. You have Fast X, the 10th installment in the Fast and Furious franchise. And
right.
Yeah, so there might be some other movies, guys. Sometimes we're not able to see them until they kind of come out, but that's gonna be the main one that we're gonna review next week. Pete has never seen one, so that'll be interesting. And then we might
I've never seen a Fast and the Furious movie, so this is going to be interesting. And I'm certainly not going to watch 9 movies before I go see this 10th one.
No, that's a heavy
So I'm going to go into this blind, and I'm going to judge it based on, is this a good movie as a standalone?
And then we might have another guest too to help me have a better conversation, since Pete doesn't really know much of the franchise. So I'm probably going to rank these movies real quickly on where they rank. I think all of them except for like the third one, the Tokyo Drift one.
Fast forward to my list, I'll be like, I think 10 is like the best. I think.
I mean, a few of them are exactly the same, so you could you could make an argument, but
yeah.
All right, people. With that, we just released Home Alone. If you haven't seen that one, we have Shawshank Redemption coming out later this week, so make sure you're checking out. We got Rocky 4 on tap, and then we got I believe Big is coming up in the future, and Wedding Crashers, Old School. Yeah, we got a few movies that'll be coming out soon, so make sure you check all those out. And with that,
can't wait to review comedies. I can't wait. This is going to be great to talk about some comedies. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. So with that, Pete, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.